Well, hello everyone. I want to welcome you to our DEI Grantee Learning Opportunity. I'm Laura Glennick with the NDI Technical Assistance Team, and today we're going to feature Part 1 of a 3-part series on career pathways, and today we're going to talk to you about aligning DEI, Disability Employment Initiative, and career pathway systems and program strategies. And today I am the presenters include my colleagues who are also with the NDI training and TA team. There I am, for those who don't know me. My presenters are my colleague Dave Mayer, who, in addition to serving as a technical assistance liaison, also serves as our subject matter expert on career pathways. And our colleague, Miranda Kennedy, who, in addition to being the TA liaison, serves as our Director of Training and Technical Assistance. We're going to have time for questions and answers at the end of today's presentation, but please feel free throughout it to include any questions or comments, and you can use either the chat box or the questions and answers. So with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Miranda, who's going to walk through the agenda and set the context for today's webinar. So Miranda, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Laura. It's great to be on with all of you today. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started and take a look at today's agenda. We're going to begin with a brief overview of how WIOA has increased the workforce development community's focus on providing services that promote inclusivity for all job seekers. And as part of that, we're going to discuss the WIOA definition of career pathways, so we're all working with a common understanding. There have been many definitions and concepts of career pathways used by the different workforce systems, so we recognize really how imperative it is that these partners have a shared understanding going forward. And next, we're going to go into detail about how DEI strategies are well aligned with career pathway models. And we'll examine how DEI resources can provide opportunities that will support existing career pathways systems and programs. This isn't about creating new ones, it's about integrating and increasing access to existing ones. We're also going to be touching on apprenticeships as an ideal avenue for more inclusive career pathway programs and as a model for businesses to train a job candidate on those necessary skills and capabilities in an effort to really hire the best employee. So finally, we're going to lay out an action plan with steps that will lead the DEI team to a seat at the leadership table, becoming a partner and contributor in existing and new career pathway programs. Next slide, Laura. So let's get started with an overview of WIOA and the Disability Connection. Each state developed a WIOA state plan focused on coordinated planning, increasing the capacity of the centers, the American Job Centers, to serve targeted groups. So 2 primary focuses of each state plan are 1, developing career pathways, and 2, developing strategies to effectively provide services to targeted groups, including people with disabilities at the job centers. So local disability standing committees. WIOA authorizes local boards to establish a standing committee to provide information and to assist with operational and other issues relating to the provision of services to individuals with disabilities, including issues related to compliance with WIOA Section 188 and applicable provisions of the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. So WIOA establishes local workforce development boards, establishes them having standing committees to provide information and to assist with operational and other issues relating to that provision of services to people with disabilities. WIOA Section 188 supports and incorporates DEI strategies with its focus on improving programmatic and physical accessibility to all job center customers. That programmatic piece is really key. Section 188 also requires that reasonable accommodations be provided to qualified individuals with disabilities in certain circumstances. Disability-related regulations are also covered in other statutes, such as Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act and Titles I and II of the ADA. The LEAD Center, which for those of you who are not familiar is funded by U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Disability Employment Policy, hopefully you all know that, but now you do, continues to provide guidance and support to help states and local areas develop effective integrated service delivery strategies at the job centers. I want to point out so that you can see the collaborations at the national level with this work, that your DEI technical assistance team, those of us on this call and our teammates, and the LEAD Center meet regularly. In fact, we had one of our biweekly meetings just this morning. We're also joined by members of the WINTAC in these biweekly meetings, and the WINTAC is one of the RSA technical assistance centers that's supporting vocational rehabilitation implementation of WIOA. So you can see we're very much working hand in hand here at the national level to align our work and efforts, just as you were doing so at the state and local level. So let's take a look at that fourth bullet, which, as it happens, was part of our discussion this morning on that call among our centers, supporting financial literacy. As you all are most likely quite well aware, people who are economically vulnerable often face a complex set of barriers and require a variety of services to improve their financial condition. It's about more than employment. So financial capability encompasses a range of services that vary in terms of their content, delivery method, and target audience. The services include increasing access to public benefits and tax credits, connecting people to mainstream bank accounts, not payday lenders and predatory lenders, encouraging savings, building credit, and supporting home and business ownership, as well as protecting people from those predatory practices. So just one of many examples of a DEI, and really people with disabilities are quite inclined to fall prey to those predatory practices. So just one of many examples of a DEI project focusing on financial literacy is our Round 6 Washington project. The state has partnered with the Northwest Access Fund and community-minded enterprises to provide disability-specific training to both pilot DEI areas. The Washington Access Fund provides group or individual financial wellness training to job center customers with disabilities, as well as one-on-one intensive financial coaching when requested. Community-minded enterprises provides work incentives and benefits counseling to Social Security benefits recipients to counsel them around issues related to changes in their finances and benefits if they choose to return to work on a full-time basis. Just one of many examples. We're going to be getting into more examples more deeply in parts 2 and 3 of this training, but you'll hear some of those peppered throughout today's discussion as well. But that kind of leads us into this final bullet here, inclusive career pathways. And I'm going to go ahead and let Dave take it away from here as our subject matter expert for the DEI on career pathways. So Dave, the ball is yours.
Why, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Miranda. And good afternoon, everybody, and good morning to those of you in Hawaii, Alaska, and Guam. If we have anybody from Guam, that would be great. I'm really excited about being here talking more about career pathways and creating more inclusivity at the job centers and with our system partners. So first and foremost, Miranda mentioned at the initial agenda that we really needed to set ourselves with a definition of career pathways. Since there are so many different career pathways definitions throughout the different systems, we decided that the best one for us to make a commonality here would be the one that's directly out of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. So career pathways defined, and there are a number of different elements to it. The first one, being a combination of rigorous and high-quality education training and other services that, first, aligns with the skill needs of industries in the economy of the state and regional economy involved. So today's economic environment is ready for employment growth, yet employers continue to talk to us about having difficulty finding those skilled workers they need to create a strong workforce. Of those Americans who lack the skills required for in-demand occupations, many don't know how or where to access the information, training, and credentials needed for these family-supporting jobs. The Career Pathways model supports the development of strong, vibrant regional economies where the businesses thrive and people want to live and work. To align educational offerings with businesses' needs and career pathway systems, engage business and support sector strategies in the development of educational programs up front instead of waiting until they've already done the training and then finding out that that training is not actually valuable to the employer or the potential employee. The second one is preparing an individual to be successful in any of a full range of secondary or post-secondary education options, including registered apprenticeships. There's that word, apprenticeships, again. Career Pathways programs offer a clear sequence of educational coursework and or training credentials aligned with employer-validated work readiness standards or competencies. So these have already been gone through the business systems and the business alliances to ensure that they are what the employer is looking for. Career Pathways programs make it easier for people to earn industry-recognized credentials through avenues that are more relevant, to provide opportunities for more flexible education and training, and of course to attain market identifiable skills that can transfer to work. The third element is including counseling to support an individual achieving the individual's education and career goals. And this is a place where the DEI really comes into play. Some of those career pathway supportive pieces include career counseling, advising and planning, personal counseling, what Miranda was just talking about in financial literacy and asset development counseling, mentoring, including peer-to-peer mentoring, and group counseling, such as a job club or other facilitated support groups.
Wow, Dave, so that's a lot of comprehensive information. Is there anything else that helps us understand career pathways that you can share?
Well, Miranda, Career Pathways has a few other important elements, too.
There's a lot to this, isn't there?
There is. It's very, very deep, very, very defined. So number 4, it includes education offered concurrently with and in the same context as workforce preparation activities and training for a specific occupation or occupational cluster. This includes connections to existing bridge programs where employability skills or job readiness skills activities are a part of the curriculum. These skills generally include applied knowledge, effective relationships, and workplace skills. Career Pathways aligns well with existing state and regional sector strategies. These business collaboratives are identifying necessary training for those specific occupations and industries. The 5th element is organizing education and training and other services to meet the particular needs of an individual in a manner that accelerates the education and career advancement of the individual to the extent practicable. I love that word, practicable. Adults, youth, and non-traditional working learners, especially those who lack those basic skills in English language comprehension, often have other barriers to employment other than just those skills. It may include housing, transportation, childcare needs, and such. In addition, working learners have the added challenge of balancing jobs with training and making flexible training programs such as evening and weekend or online classes critical to their success. Developing career pathways-oriented education programs that support the unique needs of targeted populations prevents learners from prematurely exiting training programs and ensures higher completion rates, something that we've heard quite a bit coming along as we're learning more about these career pathways and DEI connections. The 6th is enabling an individual to attain a secondary school diploma or its recognized equivalent and at least one recognized post-secondary credential. WIOA and Career Pathways place an increased focus on high school graduation rates and allow service providers to help the job seeker truly see the value of ongoing learning by introducing a career pathway and a process of attaining those stackable credentials that employers are looking for. And finally, it helps an individual to enter or advance with a specific occupation or occupational cluster. Ultimately, WIOA focuses on career advancement in emerging sectors, planning for future and longevity to promote a self-sustaining career. With Career Pathways, employers and industry leaders develop a competency model so job seekers are able to clearly evaluate their capacity and desire to pursue an occupation as a long-term goal.
Well, and Dave, as part of that, can you tell us a bit about how apprenticeship fits in with Career Pathways? Might that even be on our next slide? There you go.
I'd be glad to. Thank you very much. So apprenticeship is an important component of the Career Pathways model as a job-driven strategy. So let's first look at what an apprenticeship is. The definition of an apprenticeship directly out of the Presidential Executive Order of June 2017, a job and career pathway that allows individuals to simultaneously earn money and learn a skill through a combination of education and hands-on training. So it directly is a career pathways, piece of a career pathway. A registered apprenticeship is a high-quality work-based learning or post-secondary earn and learn model that meets the national standards for registration with the U.S. Department of Labor. And third, talking about apprenticeships, how it strengthens workforce inclusion. Because of the range of opportunities available, apprenticeships provide a good career path for people from all backgrounds, including people with disabilities. For businesses, this increased diversity means a broader range of perspectives on how to confront challenges and achieve success. As a background, this DOL report titled Registered Apprenticeships Improving the Pipeline for People with Disabilities, released in 2015, called for a continued engagement with the business community to significantly improve recruiting, hiring, and retaining practices, and to address any policy or practical barriers that would hinder employment of people with disabilities, which is our goal. Completion of a registered apprenticeship program should be considered as a viable option for promoting successful long-term employment outcomes for people with disabilities at competitive salaries with little or no educational debt, which is a huge part of that financial literacy piece. So let me just share a few examples of how the Round 8, or how DEI projects, in general, are focusing on apprenticeships. First, we have Minnesota's Round 7 project, and they are in the beginning phases of establishing youth apprenticeships in manufacturing and IT. The Youth Career Connection project is also planning to link up with the Minnesota Department of Education's Youth Apprenticeship Program to ensure non-duplication of services and effective implementation strategies. So that's a good running start. Next, the California Disability Employment Initiative has a Round 5 implementing site in southeast Los Angeles County, which is better known as Celico. They were recently awarded a grant for ex-felons focused on entrepreneurship or apprenticeships in the trades or construction. Celico's DRC is working closely with the ex-felon grant project manager to support Celico's business services representatives and leveraging funds by co-enrolling common customers in both projects, which is another big part of the DEI and WIOA, is co-enrollment and sharing common customers. And finally, New York's Round 6 DEI project, Herkimer, Madison, and Oneida region is helping make connections to apprenticeship opportunities in their area. In December of last year, the local DEI and American Apprenticeship Initiative collaborated and presented at the Employer Needs Forum in New York. The forum provided employers and training providers with information on available funding for training new employees and developing retention and training programs for anticipated workforce needs. So there are just a few of the many apprenticeship focus that are going on within the DEI projects. Hey, Miranda, now that we have a good working definition of career pathways and we've introduced apprenticeships into our career pathways discussion, can you share why it's so important for WIOA to focus on career pathways?
I'd be happy to, Dave, and we're already on that slide, so let's dive in. It's because, first of all, we know that too many adults in the U.S. lack the skills or credentials to fit the requirements of the in-demand jobs in our economy. And subsequently, this approach requires a change of mindset. Developing career pathways involves a process of coordinating and connecting different parts of multiple public and private services and activities to make up a comprehensive education and training system. And finally, the focus on career pathways systems transforms the role of employers from not only a customer, as it was under our earlier system, but now a partner and a co-leader in the development of the workforce. It's a significant change, and it ensures that employers are highly engaged in the development of career pathways. And this benefits business at all levels and our economy overall because it leads to an increase in the pipeline where we now have more qualified workers. So starting in round 5 of the DEI, the focus has been on career pathways, and we just walked through career pathways in WIOA and disability. Can you tell me more about the connection between career pathways and DEI, including some examples of how this connection is playing out in the field? And maybe we could go to the next slide for that.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Thank you, Miranda. So I wanted to just reiterate, and we will say this a number of times, that one of the problems that we had up front when round 5 came around is many of the DEI projects believed that they needed to create brand new career pathway systems. So it was important to add this slide here just so we could get kind of a focus on what that initial idea was at the Department of Labor when they talked about what they were looking for within career pathways. So let me read it here. Under round 8, and this was also from back to round 5, DEI funding grantees will focus on improvements needed to make their existing career pathway systems fully inclusive and accessible to individuals with disabilities. So grantees are building off the career pathway system that already has been developed as your foundation to make it grow and become much more comprehensive and much more universal. As the round 8 FOA states, you are focusing on making improvements to make your existing career pathways fully inclusive. So just a few of the examples of some of the proposed strategies from the new round 8 DEI grantees include the Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma DEI will implement activities that will increase access to and the participation of individuals with disabilities in the WIOA employment training services with a focus on improvements needed to make the existing Cherokee Nation Career Services Pathways system fully inclusive of and accessible to individuals with disabilities. Very much talking about that collaboration, that partnership with the existing Career Pathways system and with the existing Career Pathways or Career Services system that's in place already. Next, the Colorado DEI strategy aligns with Colorado's priorities for the increased participation of underserved populations, including state apprenticeship expansion grant, employment first initiatives, and state initiatives to further develop and use industry-driven career pathway systems and work-based learning models. And finally, our example is Hawaii, that their DEI Round 8 plans to strengthen the partnership between WIOA core partners, America Job Centers, and disability serving agencies to increase the number of youth with disabilities entering career pathways and accessing the job centers. What this will do is expand on the career technical education strategies to implement employment experience models to strengthen services that prepare the youth in Hawaii for work with a project that integrates the agency's respective services and provides an interactive discovery model, something that you can definitely get more information from your TA advisor about that discovery model. Next slide.
All right. I think I'll go ahead and take it over, Dave, from here.
Oh, why don't you take that over there?
Okay. So let's talk about effective career pathway models. So these must operate at two levels. There's a systems level and a program level. For the system level, this is a series of connected education, training, and support strategies that enable individuals to secure industry-relevant certification and obtain jobs within an occupational area. And a program level, that's a single training initiative containing one or more essential components. But let's talk about that just a little bit more. So at the systems level, WIOA encourages states to align state resources to support integrated service delivery across federal and state funding streams and to ensure that interested parties and partners and agencies who can hold a party, sure, whether focused on education, workforce development, or human and social services, that they're aware of this joint commitment for improved collaboration and coordination across programs and funding sources. So at the program level or the customer level, employment service providers really need to reorganize a portion of their operations to provide career pathway services for customers. This will require changes in how staff are organized, understanding the regulations and processes under the newly braided funding streams, training staff on career pathways, and creating stronger employer ties for those pathways. It will also require interagency agreements and cross-agency training on referrals and how the linkages are operationalized. The customers benefit from a new service delivery strategy that is job-driven, centered around work-based learning and training, sector-driven, and fully committed to agency partnerships with an emphasis on inclusion for all job seekers, which we really care quite a bit about. So, Dave, can you tell us a bit about Career Pathways systems and some examples?
I would love to, most definitely. As you can see on the right side of the slide, there are the 6 key elements in Career Pathways that come directly from the DOL Career Pathway Toolkit. I hope you've all seen it. If you haven't, please, at the end of this, we do have it on the resources slide at the end. Please take a look at it. But Career Pathways, first and foremost, creates a framework for existing education and workforce services to connect into one system. Focusing on coordinated planning increases the capacity of the job centers to serve targeted groups. WIOA increases the emphasis on cross-system alignment, very important. Strategic planning and performance measurement and data collection and utilization, all vital components of the DEI, where that combination and that connection between DEI and WIOA are so important. So it shifts the focus from job attainment to career for economic success. This is something that we've seen many times in previous systems, previous programs, that it really has been a focus on getting a person to that first job, and with very little on the back end as far as retention and follow-up. So the WIOA Career Pathways model stresses that agency can't focus on the end game being placement into first or any job. WIOA has its partners working together to assist job seekers in developing self-sustaining career paths and competitive integrated employment. The relationships between VR and Title I in previous and current DEI rounds are helping both systems develop a more proactive approach to retention strategies, increasing the capacity of the job center system to provide effective follow-up services to those on a career path. It also offers a more efficient and customer-centered approach to workforce development because they structure intentional connections among employers, adult basic education, support services providers, occupational training, and post-secondary education and programs, and design the systems to meet the needs of all learners and all employers who are out there searching for that right fit for a new employee. Finally, it discourages different pathways from multiple systems. To facilitate a new system focus, there needs to be a major change in mindset. Developing career pathways involves a process of coordinating, connecting different parts of multiple public and private services and activities to make up our comprehensive education and training system. And they can be very, very, very difficult to maneuver through. WIOA increases the emphasis on cross-system alignment. There's that cross-system alignment that's so important. Strategic planning, performance measurement, and data collection. Career Pathways development is a broad approach for serving populations that may experience significant barriers to employment and can substantively alter the way the workforce system delivers its services and its relationships with partner organizations. You want to tell us a little bit more about the benefits of DEI and Career Pathways systems alignment, Miranda?
I have just been waiting to do so. Yes, thank you, Dave. All right, yeah, let's talk about the benefits of DEI Career Pathways system alignment. So system is a key word here because we're going to talk about program later. So system alignment, at the systems level, really increasing business community awareness of how to recruit people with disabilities and benefits, and return on investment of hiring people with disabilities. So that's very meta, above a program level. At the systems level, we want to make sure we're building that awareness within our system. And I do want to let folks know we have a DEI business engagement community of practice series that we've held with earlier rounds of DEI, where we have examples of very specific strategies that are being used, as well as their upcoming opportunities to learn more about business engagement, dive in. There's a lot of examples, and we will help guide you to those. Those are in our resources as well at the end of today's training. But we've got examples for the DEI around that, and it's a big part of what we do, and it's very important, especially now that business is a partner. How are we leveraging that partnership? How are we working with those partners in the business community around career pathways? And there's some exciting stuff that's taking place. Similarly, integrating systems change in service delivery design and in relevant programs serving people with disabilities, and this can only be attained through intensive system cross-training and maximum buy-in from each system's leaders and staff. So there are a number of ways that we do this. We're going to dive into and share examples in parts 2 and 3. We do this from, the bottom up, the customer level and the program level, with using the integrated resource team approach. We do cross-training. We've got examples out of Alaska and Minnesota and others where they've got, they're developing models. Massachusetts, some of them are building off of each other, and some are coming up on their own, of ways to train their staff and partners to better serve job seekers with disabilities and to integrate and work, across programs and across systems and titles. So, and really this is about, achieving those outcomes for people with disabilities when we all work together, which leads us into bullet 3, aligning policies, practices, and leveraging funds across systems to expand the capacity of the public workforce system and its partners to provide integrated and accessible career pathway programs. We do it better when we do it together and leverage each other's resources, expertise. Although there are system rules and regulations that prevent complete system integration, there are many areas of service provision that can be combined to provide effective ways to mitigate administrative red tape, and that often leads to a customer's and staff's person's anxiety and can create a wedge between them if you don't eliminate that red tape. So some of our DEI projects in states have developed common referral forms across WIOA titles and agencies to work around this challenge. We've got local areas in Massachusetts, DEI have done this, and our DEI project in the state of Washington are just a few examples. We encourage you to work with your TA liaisons to find out what others are doing and build off of that instead of having to recreate the wheel. But we'll be highlighting again some of these in our parts 2 and 3. So next up, establishing measurable goals that increase the participation of people with disabilities in career pathway systems and programs. If you can't measure it, well, you need to be able to measure it. As part of that measurement, Career Pathways models promote active follow-up practices that focus on retention and provide confirmation that career pathway strategies lead to increased long-term employment and better job opportunities. So this is something all of our DEI projects are engaged in. And finally, we want to be able to evaluate these methods. In order to do that, we'll need to develop some strong evaluation methods to determine successful outcomes, which can be replicated and expanded after the DEI. The idea here is to use data gathered by state and regional career pathway systems and programs to drive real systems change and identify accountability. So now that I've shared some of the benefits of system alignment, Dave, can you tell us a bit about program alignment?
Well, let me start by just talking about the programs in general, Miranda. First and foremost, some of the things that we talk about and the elements of a Career Pathways program that line out are here on the slide. The first one being the use of integrated alternative assessment processes. Alternative assessments focus on the job seeker's strengths, allowing the supporting staff to choose an appropriate assessment for job seekers with a differing learning style, maturity level, learning disability, physical disability, and any other characteristic that could affect a performance. Because using traditional assessments may not allow an employer or a case manager to really see what that job seeker's true skills and abilities are. So having those alternative assessments is very important. The second bullet talks, which similarly to the alternative is assessments, talking about revising the curriculum to fit all learning styles. So it's imperative for systems to work together to ensure that training and education accommodates students with any number of challenges that could affect their ability to show their real abilities and competence to a job, very similar to the alternative assessment process too. The third one being providing opportunities for more flexible education and training. This needs to fit in with working individuals and job seekers with limited skills. the normal college and university schedule, semester course work with limited summer offerings does not meet the urgency that a non-traditional student may have to obtain a credential and find a job right away. Flexibility in program offerings means more than class schedules. It also includes e-learning and work-based learning that allows students to progress at their own speed based on their abilities and time availability. So it doesn't push people into doing things that are going to make them want to quit or run. Computer-based or web-based lessons allow the learner to study at times that fit their schedules. A few of those flexible service delivery strategies that we've seen DEI projects work with their partners in implementing are offering non-semester-based classes, offering classes in the evening and on weekends, and of course offering credit for prior learning, possibly in secondary school. And we see a lot of DEI projects working with their local career and technical educations to get credit in high school for both high school and for credentials at post-secondary. And fourth, creating opportunities for upward mobility in a chosen career or career cluster. With WIOA's focus on developing and implementing sector strategies in high-demand industries, businesses work with WIOA partners and other workforce professionals to identify and collaboratively meet the needs of that industry in relation to the current regional labor market. Career Pathways effectively meet the needs of businesses by offering a very clear sequence or pathway that we talk about of educational coursework and or training credentials aligned with the employer-validated work readiness standards and competencies. So this is working together, already having the employer be a partner and creating what those training needs are. By having the flexibility of on and off ramps to start and end education and training due to life circumstances, individuals don't feel pressured into attaining advanced credentials until they're ready and are able, and they have the ability to do so. So, Miranda, why don't you tell us about the program alignment for DEI and Career Pathways?
Okay. Thanks, Dave. So I'm going to share about, so program alignment. So what are the benefits of DEI Career Pathways program alignment? Well, let's take a look at the slide, and then I'm going to give some examples under each of these, okay? So we've got 5. Promoting awareness of assistive technology, stronger partnerships and better opportunities for leveraging funds and resources, educating career pathway programs on crucial support services, providing more integrated work-based learning opportunities, and focusing on high-demand business sectors and employer engagement. So I'm just going to give a couple of examples under each of these. So bullet 1, so promoting awareness of assistive technology. Our Connecticut DEI Round 4, during their no-cost extension in their Round 7 project, they've helped to establish and incorporated an assistive technology lending library, which is a collaboration with Voc Rehab, and it's nearing completion, and assistive technology items will soon be available for checkout as needed. Many DEI projects have developed relationships with the mandated state assistive technology program and Centers for Independent Living, and both are great resources for assistive technology needs for our centers, for our partners, and so forth. So let's take a look at bullet 2, stronger partnerships and better opportunities for leveraging funds and resources. So the Alaska DEI Round 6 project, they've got a new partnership with University of Alaska Career and Technical Center in Southeast Alaska, and that's resulted in the creation of 5 high-growth industry career exploration and learning experiences that have commenced in the fall. And each class is a 5-day, 36-hour training, and it covers the following: mining, construction, healthcare, power plant technology, and OSHA safety. In addition, any youth successfully completing the program wanting to continue into a certification program in that field automatically receives priority and expedited eligibility determination for Title I funding. That's a stronger partnership.
Wow, that's
and
cool.
A good leveraging of funds, right? Okay. So bullet 3, let's take a look at that. Educate career pathway programs on crucial support services. So an area that supports the need for increased alignment of DEI and career pathway strategies is the availability of support services for individuals with disabilities and other challenges to employment. And many career pathway programs are administered by educational institutions whose primary focus is developing and implementing education and training that leads to employment. Although some career pathway programs have seen excellent partnership with partners who are experts and have access to supportive service funding, it really is crucial that existing career pathway programs get assistance from these partners and work together to close any service gaps that can hinder an individual's ability to succeed along their path. And we've really seen so many of our folks on our DEI projects working to address that. So providing more integrated work-based learning opportunities. Work-based learning is an effective method for teaching skills that are valued in the labor market and a powerful incentive to keep individuals engaged and to encourage them to advance in their academic or technical program. Work-based learning can help participants of any age build their resumes and gain access to a valuable network of job contacts in an industry, things like what Dave has shared before about apprenticeships, on-the-job training, and paid work experience. And really getting people with disabilities those opportunities, making sure those are accessible, that really is key. And we do have resources and supports, as Dave mentioned before, with ODAP's resources and such. So let's take a look at the fifth bullet here, focus on high-demand business sectors and employer engagement. So years of focus on the needs of job seekers and employment and training programs with limited consideration of the interests and needs of employers or the climate of particular industry sectors and labor markets has resulted in generally modest effects even among successful programs. So the Washington State DEI Round 6 project is partnering with the Washington Business Alliance, an organization of businesses interested in matching qualified job seekers with the needs of business. The Alliance hired a new primary consultant who's made connections with major companies and corporations in the Seattle area and is working to help them meet the Section 503 requirements. Hiring the new consultant provided an opportunity to make better connections between the Alliance and the American Job Centers through the DEI to help support their employee pipeline of qualified candidates with disabilities. So let's go further, Dave, and I'm going to hand it over to you to talk about developing an effective DEI career pathway connection. We've given some examples. How might we break this down and move forward with this?
Let's dig it. Let's keep on digging. Absolutely. So these are some of the strategies and some of the things that we've taken out of our connections with the previous and current DEI states, some of the things that we really think about when you're talking about making these connections. And we know that first and foremost that if we don't have buy-in from system decision makers, that it's never going to work. We know that that is a fact, that we call it the top-down and bottom-up syndrome, that we need to have people who are champions at the top levels, at the state and the regional level, within both the state boards and the local boards, to take the reins and make sure that the focus continues to talk about inclusive career pathways. While some agencies provide services to general populations, others may serve only targeted populations. So it takes a variety of agencies and or funding streams to provide comprehensive services to both targeted and universal populations, and they have to learn how to work together. Second is the team really needs to speak a common language. There are so many different acronyms and definitions going from system to system, and we need to make sure that we're not sitting around just nodding our heads when somebody's talking about something that we know nothing about. So a prerequisite to defining those roles and responsibilities of each of the partners within the DEI project as you go forward with your Career Pathways connection is shared knowledge of the services that each agency provides, the population that it serves, and the service models on which each program is based. That way you have an opportunity to see who has the strengths, where the gaps are for each one of the partners, and you can move forward in a way that you're all speaking that same language. Next, each member definitely needs to know their role. They need to understand that we can't do everything all at once, and those silos that have been built for such a long time need to come down. So those experts in case management, in follow-up services, in support services can do what they do best and focus on that while their partners do what they do best. Excuse me. Fourth, cross-training avoids duplication. And I will continue to say how important cross-training is, because it is incredibly essential to serve job seekers with multiple barriers. Each partner's available resources and expertise and service delivery flow needs to come out. You need to know what is happening with each other. So as an example, California has implemented a comprehensive training for regions that haven't been exposed yet to the DEI or other disability projects through partnership between this, and it's a partnership between the State Employment Development Department, the State Department of Rehabilitation, and the California Workforce Association, which is made up of all the executive directors of the local workforce investment boards. The trainings were inspired by California's Round 7 proposal that funded a traveling DRC to facilitate regional trainings to educate and inspire other workforce professionals to adopt successful strategies. The Department of Rehabilitation is also going out and doing attitudinal trainings, disability attitude trainings through windmills and other attitudinal trainings that are available on the market. And California Workforce Association is working to coordinate all this. So it's an incredible coordinated effort between the three state organizations. Fourth, must create a core DEI Career Pathways team. This needs to come from representatives from different partners that support key functions and services within the system. This also allows the people who really are the champions of the inclusivity of career pathways and WIOA implementation to be at the forefront of making the decisions for this DEI and career pathways inclusivity connection. And finally, they will all benefit from a vision, mission, and goals. Having a clearly defined sense of purpose will assist any DEI Career Pathways core team to encourage current partners to participate in the process of becoming a primary partner in existing Career Pathways programs and inspire organizations that are not currently participating to get involved. These are all things that are directly spoken about in the intent of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, and they follow through in the DEI and the Career Pathways models that are part of that. Next slide. So talking a little bit about the state level team and how important this is. The state team supports every local team and it assists in the development and administration of regulatory environment that aids local implementation and statewide development. To be most effective, the state level representatives on the cross-agency leadership team include minimally from the state agencies, those state agencies that are responsible for workforce development, disability service provision, economic and business development, adult basic education, and secondary and post-secondary education. An example of this working well is Washington's Round 6 DEI State Coordinating Committee. It meets in person on a quarterly basis to facilitate systems-level collaboration with a team of local area DRCs and the Workforce Development Council management, along with the state DEI lead and project advisors. They report on the status of the DEI in relation to the ongoing strategies and goals of the project. The committee identifies emerging issues and potential challenges in an effort to develop collaborative solutions. Active members of that coordinating committee and the DEI are obviously the DEI state lead and state project advisor, the DRCs, the local Workforce Development Council management, Voc Rehab and Services for the Blind, the Washington Business Alliance, which we spoke about earlier, AmeriCorps, disability service coordinators from community college and Voc Tech schools, the state WIPA provider, and a community-based focus group organization on financial literacy. At the quarterly meetings, committee members take turns providing information on their agency's resources and expertise relevant to the DEI project. The state project advisor facilitates the meeting and sets the agenda, often asking committee members or other agencies to provide training or workshops on subjects that are currently pertinent to the DEI project. A recent presentation from the Washington Department of Behavioral Health prompted them to join the committee, which the members find is an incredible addition to the team, as we find more and more people with mental health disabilities coming to the table asking for our assistance. Next slide. So how are we going to put this together? What have we found that really does work? And this is kind of a snapshot, and what we found could really get you to a place where you have this connection with your existing career pathways models. First and foremost, the local partners develop a career pathways and DEI team to conduct research. So it's not a required role of the Disability Resource Coordinator, but the DRC is in the best position to determine the best people for that core team, responsible for making sure that the momentum doesn't stop. So those are the champions in each one of those partners who really, really are in a good position to push this forward and continue to fight and advocate for the inclusive career pathways model to become just a natural function of the job centers. It also allows the DRC to coordinate introductory meetings for partners and create a common vision for developing more inclusive career pathways programs. Secondly, the team completes an assessment of career pathways and DEI alignment. So doing research, the DEI team will take a look at the state and regional current career pathway systems and programs. My suggestion would be to start with your state's unified or combined WIOA state plan. You can perform a word find to locate career pathways references and should be able to glean the state's career pathways strategies and the state's agencies responsible for developing and administering career pathways models and strategies. Then I would contact the lead career pathways agency at the state level to get a clear picture of the current career pathways models, what is working well and what needs work, and who are the regional career pathways programs administrators. So now we're getting down to that local area. So next, the team completes an assessment of a career pathways alignment by contacting that local career pathways administrator to get a clear picture of the current career pathways programs at the local and regional level. What is working well, and what, most importantly, what services and resources are missing and not fully incorporated. Then the team works with management and partners to discuss and approve a plan of how to address those service gaps of existing career pathways programs. And that's where the cross-training and the cross-agency connection really comes into play when we understand what is missing from those existing local career pathways programs. It gives us the opportunity, and each one of the local partners an opportunity to take a look at where we are going to plug in those gaps and where we're going to make this a much more effective and comprehensive system. Next, the team will get together with that career pathways, that existing career pathways administrator, to present these service gaps solutions to them. By the time we're done doing that, the what's in it for me has been answered for them. And the idea is then to become a primary partner within the existing career pathways systems going forward. The next step is to make sure that that career pathways core team is continuously getting the career pathways DEI team together to reassess what's going on with the career pathways models and find out where there are areas where we can actually increase the capacity to create more inclusive career pathways. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Miranda.
Great. Thank you, Dave. Yes, we've covered quite a bit of information in the last 54 minutes here. Thank you all for joining us on this ride. This is part one of a three-part series we're doing on career pathways. We're going to be diving into more details and more examples in the upcoming two trainings. But what's the summary of what we've covered today? We covered quite a bit, so just to refresh your memory, we've talked about how WIOA promotes improved services for job seekers with multiple barriers, how apprenticeship is part of DEI career pathways, how to build upon existing career pathway programs and models, not develop new ones. This is meant to increase access and outcomes in existing programs and models, as well as the fact that you need, of course, buy-in at all levels and all systems. And Dave helped us wrap up with talking about that core DEI career pathway team and how effective that strategy can be related to systems change. So if you're talking to others who maybe haven't been able to join you on today's call and you want to give them a heads up about what we covered today, this is a good summary for you to share with folks. We hope this helped to increase your understanding of the connection and alignment here and strategies, and certainly we hope it helped whet your appetite. I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to Laura to help wrap us up and talk about some resources and such here at the end. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dave and Miranda. And thank everybody for joining us. Today, Dave and Miranda really, as they said, it's the 101. So the 101 is always packed with a lot of information to kind of lay the groundwork to help you have a better understanding of what takes place at the state level and the local level. And you heard throughout some great examples of how DEI has been able to open doors for increasing access and participation of individuals with disabilities. So we do have resources on this page. Some of them Dave and Miranda referenced throughout the presentation. We also have in the Q&A box, I hope all of you can see it. It is from our colleagues from the LEAD Center. As Miranda said, we coordinate and collaborate amongst each other. It's on the LEAD Center website, and it's a website that the acronym is DRIVE, Drive, and on it you're able to really look at the WIOA state plan, and it breaks it down in terms of what it does around, what the state plan said around addressing accessibility and the needs of individuals with disabilities. So if you can't see it or if you have a question about it, please reach out to Dave, Miranda, or myself, and we'll make sure that you get the email with it. And
Laura, wasn't it also in the October DEI DRC resources of the month?
It could have been.
Pretty sure it was.
Okay. And there might be new people who didn't get it, but we will include it. It's a really good resource, and it's one that will help you at the state and the local level to have a better understanding of what your state plan says and how you can leverage DEI to either support that or enhance what might not be in there. So on this slide, we have a series of resources, really, and I'll touch on them very quickly. I will then transfer the PowerPoint so that all of you can have it. The Career Pathways Toolkit, Department of Labor has developed two over the last few years, and it's really to help augment, enhance the work that you're doing. We use several of the checklists in there to make them more disability specific to help the DEI projects. On the Workforce GPS website that hopefully all of you are members of, there are both collection sites and community practices, and one of them is Career Pathways. So it's all about career pathways. As you'll see, that's the second. Integrating and implementing career pathways, apprenticeship with a sector strategy is another one of the career pathways. Is another one of the community of practice. On the website, it's the business sector. So check that out. The LEAD Center, again, our colleagues, created a presentation on creating inclusive career pathways, cross-system integration strategies. Many of their webinars, we make sure that the DEI projects receive, they go out to the workforce, and so they're ones that touch on your work and the workforce as a whole. So if you are not part of that, please check that out. Another community of practice is one on apprenticeships, and some of the information we pulled out earlier comes from that. And then expanding apprenticeships for individuals with disabilities. It's currently located on the Disability and Employment Community of Practice, which is one that the NDI DEI Center runs, and but it is a resource that is from our partner. I'm trying to look. From our partner, so again, check this out. Dave and Miranda went through today's presentation, touched on career pathways in general and how the DEI is taking what exists and expanding, increasing access, increasing participation. So these resources are meant to help you. I'm going to include Dave and Miranda's contact information, and as I do this, I am going to share a file, download the file with you, and we'd also like to open this up if we have time for questions and answers. I know we're at the end of the hour, but if you do have one, you can click on the raise hand icon. And Miranda, it has been a while since I have shared.
Right, and we are more than happy to, if folks we want to honor folks' time. Our contact information is on here. We'd be happy to connect with you. Yeah, if you want to go ahead, you could even hand over the transcript to me if you want me to download it, Laura.
No, I'm doing it right now.
Okay. Great.
Just hold on. You should see on your screen, this is the PowerPoint that we use today. If you click on it and highlight it, you can download it to your computer or to your desktop. We'll keep that open for a while. We are at the end of our hour. You can reach out. You'll see Dave and Miranda's contact information. Please feel free to reach out. We also have a post-training survey that we'd like to ask you to take a few minutes to complete. It's not that long. If you have other questions or you want to learn more about a certain topic area, you can take advantage of the post-training survey to share with you. So please keep a lookout for the announcement for the Part 2 and Part 3 of this series. Really want to thank all of you who took the time to join us today and to learn more about how you, in the work that you're doing, can increase access and participation of individuals with disabilities in your existing career pathways. So with that, I'm going to thank everybody for joining us and close today's presentation. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Happy holidays.
Take care, everyone. Bye.